Scoot closer.
Sorry. Oh, wait. Let's see. Dominic, a little more. Come.
All right, there.
Yep.
Okay, good.
All right. Now we're all good. Hitting the live button now.
Okay. And I'll turn this a little bit.
Okay.
There should be good. Here we are moving. We could have just turned the computer. There we go.
Let's see. There we go. All right. One more second.
That's probably chilled us in the winter. They're probably
Yeah. All right. Here we go. 3, 2, and 1. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Let's Go Racing with David Starr. Tyler Jones here with you. So glad to have you with us. It is our Daytona 500 preview show as we are less than a few hours away from the Great American Race, and we're here live at Daytona International Speedway on this Saturday night. And David, we have a great guest joining us that will be a part of the race tomorrow and has a good track record as anyone in the field, a former F1 champion, former Indy 500 champion, Jacques Villeneuve.
Man, what an honor it is, Jacques, to have you. Man, we're all excited for you. I think everybody's excited to see you in the Daytona 500. I don't believe, I was just asking Jacques about it, but, you know, Mario Andretti, yourself, only guys that ever won the F1 Formula One championship and the Indianapolis 500. Now you're in the Daytona 500. You could possibly tie Mario Andretti. I think he won the Daytona 500 1967. But man, what an honor it is to have you with us today, this evening.
Sorry, it's great. It's one of the big races. You know, you got the Indy 500, Daytona 500, the Le Mans, and to be part of this race, to have made it, to have qualified. It's a tiny team as well that we have from Europe. It was a big shock, a big surprise that we managed to make it on time, and a good thing because we wouldn't have made the duels.
Yeah, but man, it's amazing. I was just pleasantly surprised. We were watching qualifying, and I was happy for you. I think it's cool because, you know, you bring a lot of new eyes to our sport. You know, of NASCAR Cup racing. When Jacques Villeneuve, when he was on the entry list, and you know, when you made an announcement you were going to run the Daytona, attempt to run the Daytona 500. It really, you bring the whole world in to watch the Great American Race, you know. So when you made it in, I was super excited because it's a big deal. It's a big deal.
I know people in Europe are watching as well, so it's that's good. Well, that's one of the races that is watched in Europe. You know, NASCAR is not really something that the people over there grow up with,
Right.
Or that they understand. But this is the one race that they watch normally because they know there's a big crash as well. I know, but and you don't want to be part of that. But I tried once to make the show. It was 14 years ago,
Yeah.
and I think I raced you 15 years ago.
A long time ago.
Yeah. So I've been, you know, doing a few races here and there over the years in NASCAR, mostly the Xfinity on the road courses.
Sure.
But since then, I've been living in Europe, and I've been away from this environment, and it's so much fun. You know, when you get to the track, you see all the motorhomes, all the fans. We're not used to that in Europe, and I was missing this.
So it's been 9 years since you were in a NASCAR Cup Series race. So, well, let's take us back to the beginning. How did this deal come together, and to this point of we're on the eve of the Daytona 500, and you're in the field?
Well, I've been racing the European NASCAR, and in the championship, the team owner's son is racing. I was racing him, and when I heard that they were making a team, I said, "Hey guys, I'm here. I know all about North America. I know all about ovals. I mean, you need me. And I'll show you how it's done over there." So, oh yeah, good idea. Let's go for that. You know, the team is tiny. It's all self-financed by the two owners. One of the well, both owners were racers in the 60s and 70s. I think one of them won the Daytona 24 Hours back in the day. So they have some good racing mentality. But I think they got in here, built the team, and then they realized that, okay, this is much bigger than they expected. And it's money coming out of their pocket. So at some point, the fun stuff, so making the show was super important. It's good because we made a show and we got a sponsor. So last minute, we're still having to finish wrapping the car. So So that's good. Yeah, we got Woody Washak, which is it's quite vintage as well. The colors are.
Carlos
Love
vintage
it.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I love the
that
car
suits
design.
me. Yeah, it's really good.
That's awesome. So this race, the Daytona 500, you've raced in the biggest events in the world. What was it about Daytona that made you want to come here and be a part of this? What is it about this race compared to some of the others you've been a part of?
Well, the road courses are natural and normal, so I really don't have too much interest.
Yeah.
Other than knowing that I know I'm good on them, so it's always nice. But if you're coming to do NASCAR from Europe, you need to do it on the ovals. That's what's needed, and then you need to do it on the speedways.
Yeah. And so tomorrow, what would be for you, expectation-wise, what would be a good day? What's your goal? What are you looking to accomplish?
See the checkered for a start. Because it's the kind of race where anything can happen.
Absolutely.
You know, you go on a road course on a short oval, you know whether you're quick or slow, and you kind of know where you'll end up. On a speedway, you could be super quick, end up at the back. You could be slow and still end up in the front. You just don't know. But is being at the right place at the right time and trusting your spotter. Basically, I've got Tommy Baldwin spotting as well.
Okay.
He's been crew chiefing. He was the crew chief of the car, but he's also spotting. And because when I tried to make the show 14 years ago, I was with Bill Davis Racing, and he was the crew chief of Blaney at the time.
Yeah.
And that's how I got to know him.
That's awesome.
Well, man, that's wonderful. I just think it's so awesome to have the opportunity. There's so much. I mean, you're just worldwide. I mean, you're a world celebrity. You know what I mean? Formula One champion. I mean, we really don't have many Formula One champions to jump over here to America and jump in a NASCAR stock car. And not only are you a world champion, you're an Indianapolis 500 champion. No, I don't. There's not. I mean, Mario Andretti's really the only man that's ever done that, and having the opportunity to race in the Great American Race tomorrow. And man, when I think of you, I think of winning. I think of championships. You know what I mean? So
then you have a very memory that goes far in time.
Well, I mean,
good.
man, growing up is just job. You're always, man. You won a lot of races.
Oh,
You're a big name in our sport. And I know tomorrow when they drop that green flag, I know you only have one thing on your mind. And like you said, you could have a fast car end up back in the back or wreck or mechanical problem, but sometimes you can have just an okay car and still end up in victory lane.
It drafts well. Yeah, and testing a month ago, the car was drafting well.
Right.
But since the duels, I haven't done a lap, so I was wanting to practice pit entrance, pit exit. I haven't done any of that,
Sure.
and I have to do that tomorrow in the race. So the first half of the race will probably be more to focus on how to adapt, how the car drafts, and if anyone will want to play with you, because that's the other issue. Because if you're in Daytona, nobody wants you in their draft.
Absolutely.
Then you're cut out.
Well, Jack, one of the things I do know, you got 500 miles, and if you can stay on the lead lap, or even if you lost a lap, and a caution comes out, here in America they give you your lap back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think you're going to be okay. If anybody can do it, you're the guy.
But we saw in the duels that it's hard to keep the draft.
It is.
And if you don't manage to keep it, then you'll end up 8 laps down
Absolutely.
in this race. It's a little bit of a strange one this year, but they weren't too aggressive during the duels. I think it will change a little bit during the race. But this, getting the lap back, we have that in Europe on the Euro NASCAR as well. And the good thing is the last race I did before coming here, I won. So
so you got momentum.
You
got momentum on your side. But I don't think you'll have a hard time navigating the draft. I think you'll have a lot of people out there that will be comfortable behind you. I mean, with your experience, and they know you have great car control. And man, I'm excited to watch you tomorrow because I know that you're going to be educating yourself in there for the first half of the race. And, I think the other competitors better look out if you get it down.
Yeah, but I don't think many want to be overly aggressive because there's not enough parts. There's no spare cars. I mean, Logano already
Absolutely.
crashed one.
Absolutely.
But so that I think everyone was calm in the duels and will probably stay calm for most of the race. But at some point in the race car, checkered is coming. There's a few laps to go. I think you forget about
absolutely
saving the car, and that's when it will become fun for everyone.
So I'm curious, as somebody that is coming into this sport from overseas and such, and has seen motorsports worldwide, what do you make of the culture around NASCAR and the fans and the environment? What's it like for you? I imagine it's a little bit different maybe than what you're used
Well,
to.
that's what I've been saying to a lot of people in Europe is, America knows how to handle sports.
Yeah.
It's a big show. It's fun. It's a fight. It's gladiators. Whatever sport you take, there's always something big happening. It's not overly contrived with rules. But you could compare it to, Europe is soccer.
Yes.
And it's, if there's a lot of rules, and if you do a foul but you don't get caught, great, but there won't be a payback.
Right.
Where in other sports, if you
There's
take
a-
NASCAR, there is a payback. You do
Absolutely.
something nasty to someone, that
We don't
it's
like
coming,
ties in this country.
So it's good. That's a good approach. And then it's also when you see all the fans and all the fans park, the motorhomes, it's amazing. It's just another extreme. But on the other hand, F1 is picking up in America as well. I think Austin this year was amazing. We went to May, so the sport is changing overall, and they all help each other out. The way F1 has been going is helping motorsport in general. The way NASCAR is growing is helping as well. So I think it's good to have these two extremes kind of work a little bit together for the fans.
Well, David, you tell us all the time that you're a racing fan. If it's on the TV, whatever it may be, you're intrigued in watching. And I think that we're starting to see, whether it's NASCAR fans evolving and being more involved in F1 and such, or maybe getting the F1 and IndyCar fan over the NASCAR side. The cross promotion is a great thing.
It's amazing. I was just on an airplane not too long ago, and I was, some guy, hey, you're a NASCAR driver. Hey, nice to meet you. He said, I go to a lot of races, and I said, man, you come to the Daytona 500. He said, no, I'm not going to make it. But he said, hey, man, have you watched the F1 Netflix, Netflix Indy Formula
Drive
One?
to Survive.
Yeah, Drive to Survive. And I'm like, I haven't. He said, promise me you'll watch it. He said, man, I've been a NASCAR fan forever, but I love Formula One. And this is a guy that lives in Detroit that I was on the airplane with, and he's a big NASCAR fan. But the Netflix, to Drive to Survive Formula One, man, it's really a lot of people in America are now so having the Formula One race in Austin, Texas. It's big, and there's a lot of Formula One fans in America.
I didn't see it either, because I'm doing TV commentary for F1, so I'm always part of it. So I didn't really want to see a story, but I have to see it as well, because I've been hearing a lot about it, and it basically they bring characters to the sport.
Right.
And the sport is only as good as the characters that are part of it. And that's the same thing that's happened to NASCAR over the years.
Absolutely.
Is the personalities that are the driving force. And you have the teams, the cars, you have a lot of things, but you need the personalities, you need the humans, the fighters in it to have fans rooting for it.
So speaking of the personalities and such in the sport, as someone watching from afar, who were some of the guys in NASCAR that stood out to you, that you respected, that maybe you were even rooting?
It's a long time ago. It's when I was racing in F1 mainly. So it was Jeff Gordon. It was then I came over to and race here, and suddenly they all became normal. Once I started racing, and then I got put in the wall a few times in trucks. Okay, they're fine.
Did you ever get to meet Jeff or have interaction with him?
Yes, because when we did the BAR F1 team, which is now the Mercedes team, when I built that team, we tried to get Jeff to come and race with us. So, and then he went for NASCAR. So I think he made the right choice. With the career he had, he made the right choice.
So, Jacques, tell us about your dad, man. I've read so much about your dad. I believe, he has 7, 8, 9, Formula One wins, and he was a personality. He really. The F1 fans really loved him. He was somebody special. Tell us a little bit about your dad.
I think I read more about who and what he was than what I saw as a kid.
Really?
Because he passed away when I was 11.
Okay.
So I was quite young, and in the last few years of his career, we didn't really see him at home anymore. So it was very. So I really don't know, and the memories I have of him are doing crazy stuff. Whatever you saw on the track is what would happen outside of the track, whether it was in a pickup truck or trying to climb a mountain or trying to do loops with his helicopter with me sitting next to him. So stuff like that. So these are the memories, not really as a dad. So it's very difficult for me to know what I remember of him. Is it what I've been told, or is it what I really remember?
Absolutely. What's interesting about that apple didn't fall too far from the tree. I think you're just
apparently.
Apparently. Man, that's awesome. That is wonderful. it's interesting that your dad passed when you were 11 years old, and the impact that as a little boy that he had on your life. Look what you became and followed in his footsteps.
It was a big change. I knew I would race since I was 5.
Right.
That's all. I would wake up with race cars and make racetracks in the carpet, or that's all that was my day, morning to sleep to wake up.
Right.
Then as a kid, I started skiing. I was in Europe, so I started ski racing. So that was a little bit the same mindset.
Sure.
And when he passed away, there was a big change in the family. Suddenly, I became the man of the family. So it made me grow up.
At
So,
11.
at 11, because I was a crybaby. I had migraines a lot, and the minute he passed, suddenly, okay, I have to be tough for my mother, my sister. I grew up. We went to boarding school. I was ski racing, and that's what helped me become the racer I then become, and the person I am today.
Man, that was a beautiful story, man.
So speaking of your family, I had the chance to meet your lovely wife Julia, and you have a newborn at home too. Tell us about the Villeneuve gang.
The Villeneuve gang is 5 boys, ranking from 15 to 3 weeks old, and the 15 and 14-year-old are here. They skipped a week of school, which is good.
The reason to skip, yeah.
And because they live with me, which is good. And then the 3-week-old is here as well, Gilles. So he's named after my dad as well. And no, what was really complicated was getting a passport in time to fly and getting his eyes open for the picture.
Wow.
That was the biggest stress. Like driving Daytona is less stressful than getting him a passport.
So what have been your favorite memories over the last few days with your family here, interactions with fans, interactions with other drivers? What's sticking out in your mind so far?
Well, we're staying in the motorhome, so that's good. We're living the life. We're living the full experience, and then just going out to have lunch, because every day we're driving super late, so there's plenty of time to go for lunch, come back, and eat foods that we don't eat in Europe, that we couldn't eat every day either. But it's been that's been amazing, and getting them because they've never seen me race, really, my kids. So they've seen me TV commentating, not racing. It's not the same thing. So I was happy to bring them in and to be part of it. And also you mentioned Julia. She's getting big time into racing as well, because in the Euro NASCAR she was also my spotter. So it's a big
It's
the whole thing.
Man, that's awesome.
And you're winning with her, so it's
Yeah, exactly.
Man, that's
Some
awesome.
fun memories this weekend.
Yeah, it's been we're creating memories. Just making the show, whatever happens in the race, has already been a big success. It ranks up there with the big victories, because we're coming in with such a tiny team, without help from the big teams. So we thought, okay, we'll just there won't be many of us go-homers, so we'll probably make it during the duels, maybe not. It's always a risk. And then when I saw the lap time, it's close. It was a few hundreds. Like, oh wow, okay, that's great.
Awesome. Yeah, what was your reaction when you knew you were in the 500?
I was ready to do backflips. It was.
I seen everybody hugging you and everything. It was a big deal.
It
was
was.
a big deal.
It was great. The level of stress you have when you don't know that all the effort you put into making the Daytona, and if you don't make it, it's a big down. I remember 14 years ago when I didn't make the show. That was a big down.
Absolutely.
So I know that seat time's been limited, but you've gotten to step into this next gen car now. What do you think of it? What do you think of what NASCAR's put together here?
I kind of call it the hybrid between a NASCAR and a GT car, because you have a flat bottom, you have a trail at the back, for downforce with the diffuser. So you have to run the car very low with a very stable platform. So you run the car very stiff. So it's going back a little bit to what I knew in F1, for example. Where a NASCAR used to be soft and you could kind of manhandle it. On this one, you break 20 meters later or 40 feet later on a road course. It's become very physical, but very intricate to set up as well. I'm talking more road course here, because when you're on a speedway, once you're set on the ground, you're flat. It's a little bit different. It doesn't like yawing. Once you get sideways, it loses more downforce than the old car did. So that's a little bit tricky. And it looks like the drafting was complicated. So what's new? So everyone needs to figure it out still.
Do you really feel like you're on an even playing field with all the other 39 competitors tomorrow?
You're never on an equal. The big teams will always find little tricks. They will massage it, and it's normal, and they should. The bigger teams should be better.
Absolutely.
There's nothing wrong with that, and that's a big mistake that people make sometimes. Say, oh, it's the same car for everyone, because that's what it is. Everybody buys a car and builds it, so that means it's the same for everyone. No, it's not. You can take any categories in the world. Whenever it's a spec car, then the tiny differences you can make are huge, because you cannot compensate with different setups when it's an open rule. So you have to be careful with that. But the whole field, I would say, is closer than it used to be. You can come in as a new team from Europe, which would not have been possible before. So this next gen, this new car, has been a blessing for us, because that's the reason we're here.
I think it's giving you an opportunity to be in the Daytona 500, and I think it's going to give you an opportunity. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised how competitive you are tomorrow. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Your ability, and just, Jacques Villeneuve is, one of the best race car drivers ever in the world. I mean, your ability and how this.
Stop! I'll get red now. Stop.
No,
Stop.
no, no. Hey, man, world champion, Indianapolis 5. It just says it all right there. But the car, and like you were saying, your Penske's and the Hendrick organization, the powerhouse teams, obviously they're always going to have an edge, obviously.
But they should have an edge.
They should.
The big ones should at least be allowed to have an edge.
Absolutely.
So it would be a little bit unfair, yeah.
But I think the timing is great. The timing is great for everything, and I'm excited to see how you do tomorrow. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. I wouldn't be surprised to see you have just maybe a top 10 finish.
And then that would be great. Yeah, I might miss the flight back home if we get
another thing. Your kids, your sons, your 14 and your 15-year-old. Do they have aspirations? They want to be like their dad, and do they have the racing bug? Or?
No, but like I said, they never saw me race, so they didn't grow up as racing kids.
Right.
They were playing ice hockey, because they grew up in Switzerland a lot, and they were skiers.
Right.
But for the last couple of years, because we're living in Italy now, and we were really under lockdown with COVID, and so no sports, no mountains were shut. So for 2 years, I haven't done any sports. So that's done. No more skiing, no more hockey. So now, get them away from the video games.
So what's their thoughts? NASCAR racing.
Oh, they're excited.
Good.
They're excited. Yeah, they were a little bit closed up when we arrived, but now they're starting to look, to watch, to understand, to ask questions. So they're starting to get excited. They want to see they don't want to see me crash. That's the only thing. Yeah.
We don't either.
So is there more NASCAR races in your future?
Well, I hope so. Like I said, I told them, hey, listen, I know about America, let's go racing. And the team has been built for one of the owner's son, Loris, who was racing in Europe, but he's not cup approved yet. So that's why I can do Daytona. So that's good. But it depends on the sponsorship.
Sure.
This race gave us a sponsor, so if we can build up momentum with this race, then obviously we'll do a few more races.
Well, and the schedule has changed so drastically in the last couple of years, and some of the new tracks. Any of those intrigue you? Maybe dirt at Bristol or something like that? What are you thinking?
That looks fun. But,
I know which ones you're thinking about. There's so many more road courses now.
Well, Elkhart Lake is a natural for me. That's a track that I know I'm quick there. It doesn't matter what car you give me. There's some tracks you're quick at, and other tracks you can be in the best car, you will not be at the front. It just doesn't suit you. And Elkhart Lake, World Americas, somehow it's natural. So yeah, I would love to drive there, obviously, but I want to do ovals. You come NASCAR America, you need to do ovals.
That's a racer talking right there. I just want to race. You know what I mean?
So I got to throw a hypothetical out. You win tomorrow, you have the problem of you're playoff eligible. So how would you be scrambling to find a ride for the next 25 races? That'd be a good problem to have.
How does that work? Anyway,
Jacques, that's a good problem to have.
That's an amazing problem to have, and then that means I would have to shred a few contracts I have in Europe with normal work, TV work and all that, and move the family to the States. That would be a bad idea. Okay, you got to think of there.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. So I want to ask you also in regards to the NASCAR connection, kind of the opposite of what you're doing in IndyCar. Jimmy Johnson, arguably the greatest driver of this sport, going full-time in IndyCar this year and going to be running the ovals after running the road courses this year. What do you make of what Jimmy's doing in IndyCar, and do you think he can be successful this year?
He has the talent. He showed it in NASCAR. If you're good in one category, and he's win on all type of tracks,
road course, everything.
Then if he has the hunger and the passion, and he's taking his time, to really focus, not just going on holiday in between every race and then just turning up at the track. If he's really focused on it, then of course he'll make it. He has the talent. Then it just depends. The team he has with him, if he has the right engineer, and is it gelling or not? Because the engineering is a little bit different there when you're on the road course in an IndyCar than what he's used to. But that's what he did last year. He did all the road courses and took his time, and and it took a little while, but I think it was getting better and better. So now that he's also doing the ovals, that's cool. I mean, he's going for it fully. I'm very happy to see that. It's exciting.
Yeah, and you know we know about him, and there's also rumblings about Kyle Larson potentially running the Indy someday and such. What would you think of that? What do you make of watching Kyle Larson in the season he had last year?
Oh, he had an amazing season. It's impressive. But if you just look at the modern car, the today car,
Yeah.
it's got a lot of aero. It's easier to jump into an Indy car compared to the old car. So, after a year or two of this type of car and get these drivers getting used to setting the car up on the road course, the jump to IndyCar would be a lot easier.
Seriously.
Than it was, yeah, I think
Wow. So, after winning the Indianapolis 500, coming back here in America, running the Great American Race, what about Indy cars? Is that something? Is that behind you? Is there something still left that you want to accomplish on the IndyCar side?
To accomplish, no, because I won the championship, I won the Indy 500.
Absolutely.
But if you tell me tomorrow there's a good ride available, I'm in the plane. I'm there.
That's a racer in you.
That's when I feel alive.
Yeah.
In a race car.
Absolutely.
What about you mentioned IndyCar? Is there anything left for Jacques Villeneuve besides Daytona that you want to do? Any other series out there? What's on the bucket list of sorts for you?
Well, the one race I'm missing is the 24 Hours of Le Mans.
But you got close. You finished second.
Yeah. But that's the first of the losers. It's not good.
Yeah.
And it's a race we should have won. And sometimes you have a good second place. You fought hard and you managed to get second place. Great. No, this one we managed to lose the race. It's one of those that you have a hard time to swallow. So and
you never forget about
the team
those.
won. You never forget about those. And then that would have been then the whole they call it the triple crown.
Yes.
I don't think the quadruple crown exists yet. That would be a good one.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Try and do that,
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, man, good luck tomorrow. We're big fans
we need a little bit of
you.
luck, in this race.
We're excited that you're here in America. We're excited that you're in the Daytona 500. But I think the world and all the fans everywhere, especially in Europe and Italy, everybody's excited that you're here. And man, we'll be cheering for
this
you.
new car is good for Europe. It looks a bit more European, so it's good.
Well, before we go, we do have a couple questions that people have submitted that we want to just get to ask you real quick. First one comes from John, and he wants to know, Jacques, are you aware that you are the first driver ever in the history of the Daytona 500 to start after winning an F1 title?
Oh, it's good to be the first. That's good. Hey, wow.
You're making history.
Yeah, because Mario won before.
Okay.
Well, that's good. Let's start a trend. Thank you. Let's start a trend.
Also, I got a question coming in. This one's from Phyllis. And Phyllis wants to know, Jacques, we heard you mention American food that you don't get to eat normally. What are your favorites here?
Oh, some char grilled oysters and all the seafood we've had here.
Now your wife just got her attention.
Oh, no,
was that dinner tonight?
No, not tonight. But she's Italian, and this kind of food you don't get in Italy. It's just you don't get it. So that was a big discovery because on the way when we did the Roval test early on, and we had to go to Austin, so we drove to New Orleans and Nashville, and we tried a bunch of different foods that we don't get in Europe, and it was
fireworks in the mouth.
Have you ever had Whataburger?
Whataburger? No. What's that?
It's a hamburger chain.
One of David's sponsors.
Okay.
Fast food hamburgers.
It'll change your life.
Okay. Hey, we're open.
Yeah.
Spicy ketchup. Okay, that might be a little bit too much. That's the next one on the list then. Absolutely.
Now I'm going to open up David on this one here. You mentioned with your connections to Italy and loving Italian food. David's thoughts of good Italian food is the Olive Garden. So can we culture him a bit here?
Come home. We'll have some proper home Italian
Okay.
cooking.
Well, that's a little, America's Italian food, so I'd love it.
It's good. I've had it.
Yeah, it's okay.
Good. I've had it. It's good.
Okay.
It's not home cooking.
That's right. That's right.
It's going down the road. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Before we go, any final questions? Dominic, I'll start with you.
Now, so what do you think, tomorrow you're going through the race, you're going through the motions, how are you going to try to enjoy it the most? Especially being your first Daytona 500.
How to enjoy it. Hopefully, I won't burn. I still need to decide if I should wear a booty or not. All that kind of stuff. I didn't get to drive because in the duels I only had 70% throttle.
Sure.
So the whole car didn't heat up. I didn't
Right.
burn my heels. Okay, I don't need booties, but everybody's telling me you're going to burn your feet. So
Well,
I just don't know what to do.
you need
that kind of
booties.
stuff.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I think
So that's
you
my
need
big,
to.
The fine
big worry.
details.
But yeah,
Yeah,
that
okay,
kind of
okay.
stuff. Once you start the race, it's a bit too late. Like, oh, pit stop. I need to put a booty on.
Yeah.
No, that won't work.
Yeah.
How to enjoy the race? I don't know, to not get in trouble. To
Sure.
take the time to get in the rhythm, to understand the drafting and the pit in, so we can be aggressive by the end of the race.
Even beforehand, like the driver introductions, the driver's
Oh, yeah,
name, the
that's
stuff
fun.
like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
What are you looking forward to most pre-race?
Yeah, I keep saying, oh, we don't get that food in Europe, or we don't get that kind of intro in Europe. The big thing, that's with all the grandstands still and yeah. I said before, Americans know how to do sports, so that's an example of it.
Well, myself, I personally just hope you come back. I don't, your presence here in America, your presence in auto racing. I mean, auto racing as a whole, F1, IndyCar, NASCAR. Your presence here in our sport, NASCAR, is really, I think it's done a lot for our sport. You don't realize it, but making the Daytona 500,
Big.
I think you bring in some new eyes to our sport. And man, I hope you have a great race tomorrow. I hope it goes how you want it and your team wants it, and we hope to see you back in NASCAR more.
Well, I hope so too, and thank you. Yeah, no, it's been an amazing experience so far.
And what an honor it is to have you with us.
Well, let me
Well, thank
quickly
you.
follow up on that. So when you look at the end of the year, in November, when you're looking back on the racing season, how many Cup races do you hope to make, or Xfinity races, or whatever motorsports?
I don't know, a good number. Like if this year, because the team is so small, if you would manage to do 6 or 8, would already a big achievement for the team, because it's such a small group of people that it's even hard to be ready to do more races.
My last question is, has it hit you yet of Daytona and the World Center of Racing and being a part of this? Or is that something that you'll reflect back on, later when it's all said and done?
You reflect on it when you go back home, with your friends, with your family, and you have time to sit down, have a drink, and then like, oh wow, okay, yeah, something has changed. But right in the moment, it's exciting, it's fun, but there's still the race coming. There's still, and then out of this, you want to do more racing and so on. So you just try to get the ball rolling. So it's more when everything settles down.
That's great. Well, guys, this has been a fun show. We've been able to bring this to you on a Saturday night before the Daytona 500, and we had an exciting Xfinity race today. Ultimately, Austin Hill comes away with that victory, his first career Xfinity win. As we're kind of just wrapping up on the show real quick, David, your thoughts on Austin Hill's win today?
Man, it was unbelievable. Dominant car from the start. Excited to see first-time winner in the Xfinity Series, driving for Richard Childress Racing, and I think, as exciting as the race was today, I can't wait for the Daytona 500 tomorrow. It's going to be over the top.
Yeah. Our picks for the race, I mean, Jacques, you don't have picks because we want you to win. We're all rooting for you. But who we think is going to win, Dominic, who's going to get it done, you think?
I think your 2020 NASCAR Cup Series champion, Chase Elliott, gets done the Daytona 500.
You stole my pick. I'm going with Chase, too.
Okay.
The Hendrick Power is just something else right now. Exactly. It's going to be, David, I feel like it's going to be the Hendricks versus the Fords is going to be your battle.
Yeah, I'm going to pick Kevin Harvick. It's a long shot, but I'm going to pick Kevin. The Fords are pretty fast when they're working together. It's anybody's race tomorrow, so it's hard to pick. But if I had to pick one, I'll pick Kevin Harvick.
Jacques, who's the name you're watching? Maybe you keep an eye on.
I was so busy. I'll go easy. I'll take one of the Bush brothers because there's 2 of them. So I get
2 for 1. That's great, and all these stars around now, ownership. We see Emmett Smith around today, Floyd Mayweather, Pitbull, Michael Jordan. Anybody you're going to try to meet maybe tomorrow while you're here?
Oh, all of them, yeah. It's great. It's great to see these different sportsmen or stars coming into the sport and getting involved. That's amazing. It brings a lot of new energy.
Absolutely.
No doubt. Jacques, before we go, tell people where they can follow you and also your car number and team
number 27, Team Eisenberg. Follow me. I haven't been very active on social media, so I have an Instagram, Jacques Villeneuve Official.
Driving left official. I like
No,
it.
Jacques Villeneuve official.
Jacques
Yeah, so it's quite long, and yeah, I think that's the only thing. Yeah, but I still need to figure out. I'm old-fashioned, and I keep. My wife is always telling me, if you just come on, get it going, but I need to get it going. Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Dominic, you guys are going to have some great coverage in the Racing Experts all weekend long.
We do. We got myself and our owner, Justin Malillo, here at the racetrack, shooting photos, covering all the stories. We're covering a good finish for you tomorrow, right? We'll see.
Excellent.
But yeah, no, I mean, we're just going about covering the daily news and sport, and look forward to having a great season of coverage.
David, we'll be back for another show Wednesday next week. But in
Absolutely.
the meantime, you leave here and you get ready for the racing school next week, which is going to be exciting.
No problem. Got my first racing school at the Texas Motor Speedway with my team, Texas High Performance Driving School. Looking forward to that. But we got business to take care of tomorrow for the Daytona 500. I'll get back to Texas and do the racing school. Then we'll go on to Las Vegas. But man, this has been a cool show for us, having Jacques Villeneuve, the F1 world champion, and Indianapolis 500 champion. It's amazing, So I'm really excited for you tomorrow.
It's been a lot of fun. If we're going to be here on a Saturday night, I'm glad it's with Jacques Villeneuve. What a fantastic conversation. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe to Let's Go Racing with David Starr. Our show out every Wednesday, Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, as well as YouTube. Leave that 5-star review, or don't leave us one at all. You can also find us on Facebook, facebook.com/David Starr Podcast, Twitter at Starr Podcast, and by email at davidstarpodcast@gmail.com. We'll put the checker flag out on this episode. Enjoy the great American race tomorrow. You can see it live on Fox. We'll recap it all on Wednesday. For David Starr, Dominic Aragon, Jacques Villeneuve, I'm Tyler Jones saying so long. This has been another edition of Let's Go Racing. We'll see you next week.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Good job. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank-
straight to bed.
Yeah.
Take the bet.